Good morning, folks. And you can see even in the hedgerows today, the raspberries are doing really well. And we're picking raspberries nearly every day now. And every morning there seems to be a whole load more that are ready. And just inside the gate, the story is the same. Raspberries in abundance and even leaning out over the path. The one thing that's absolutely for sure is the grass has gone wild. So I only mowed this a few days ago really, but it's really got going in this warm and damp weather. Now, this particular piece is heading for jungle proportions, so wait for a little bit of dry weather and we'll get that cut, and it's going to be a lawnmower and strimmer job again, I think. Well, it was a bit of a wind last night, and the courgettes, this one's certainly taken a bit of a blowover, but he's okay. The stem's reasonably strong and loads of flowers on them. Certainly lots of courgettes forming, which is nice. The rhubarb, this is the only rhubarb that I've not harvested, but certainly looks like it could have a harvest now. And Dean, one of my subscribers, gave me a fantastic recipe for rhubarb and ginger gin, and I think I'm going to have a go at that. So if you look in the comments from the last video, he put the recipe in there. Feel free to have a look and see what you can do with that recipe. Sounds wonderful. So let's go up and have a look at the fruit garden. Well, the flower bed is really coming into its own now. Loads of sweet peas. The herbs here doing really well. Nice to see these garlic chives splitting and getting bigger. And all the plants are nice shaped clumps right now, which is fabulous to see. And this dahlia just starting to get some flowers. And in the backdrop there you can see the calendula, which the flowers are just starting to burst open. And that's going to be a real sight. This penstemon is looking beautiful. I love those bell-shaped flowers. And of course the fuchsia, which I thought was dying. Mrs. K didn't, and she was right. These peas have had their day. I'm going to get this out now. And this is the autumn fruiting raspberry. Although I was surprised to see it's got a few fruits on it. Yeah, I'm not sure what that's about really, but we'll see how it goes. There's a few red currants on these small bushes and some black currants on this one. I'll show you the black currants on the rest of the plot shortly because they're nearly ready for harvesting. We looked at the flower beds recently, but the poppies are just prolific now. So many of these flowering heads, I can't wait until they come out. I harvested the rhubarb this week, showed you in the last video, and you can see now the new leaves which are starting to form underneath, and that was my hope that they would come on and we would get yet another harvest. And the cosmos, we've got a few flowers coming out now and they are beautiful. And these seedlings, which I wasn't sure what they were, I'm led to believe now that they're antirrhinums, so I think they're biennials and therefore we probably won't see flowers till next year. Now this is an interesting gooseberry. It's obviously a red variety, and I'm looking at these thinking I need to time this right, because if they shrivel then that'll be a disappointment. And when I touched them the other day, they're still very firm. I notice a couple have fallen off here, so I'll take those home and taste them, I think. And the plan was to have red gooseberries in the front here, and this one certainly is a red gooseberry. And these, no sign of fruit in this early stage in their life. We'll hope that they do turn out to be red. And then along the back, the plan was green, and we've got a couple of gooseberries there on the Hinamaki green. Nothing that one or that one, and clearly this is a green gooseberry, and I'm hoping to crop those very soon. They're getting to a nice size. So the fruit gardening is looking well. I'm really pleased with how it's come along since those winter months when all I seemed to do was dig. The pear tree, which is looking a bit unshapely if I'm honest. I can see next spring or autumn, when I come to prune it, I might take out some of these lower branches to get the shape back. In the meantime, I've got a lot of good pears developing. And this year they've got a red tinge on them. And I don't remember that being the case last year. I can't quite work that out. But they're certainly forming and doing quite nicely. So it does look like we're going to have a good few pears. And from the other side, I've got a few less. There's a couple under there and some up here. So I don't think overall we've got quite as many pears as last year, but we're certainly going to have some, and that's great news. Over to the pumpkin and squash patch. Well, the plants that I've most recently put in are all faring well, and I think that was attempt number 3, but it pays just to stick at it, and this warmer weather has meant that they're really beginning to flourish. And the butternut squash is interesting because this was turning yellow in the colder weather, and now it's coming back green and looking very healthy. Yeah, and there's 1 or 2 plants over this side which are really getting cracking. This is the luxury pumpkin, which is like a sugar pumpkin. It's the sweeter variety for making pumpkin pie, and it's got its first fruit on it, which I'm delighted about. And that plant with its tendrils is really showing that it's doing well. And even this one, which is a sugar pumpkin, I believe. Oh no, it's a luxury. That was looking a bit winicky, and again it's coming back nicely. So I'm really pleased with that. Strawberries in the background. We've been picking from them. They're much more susceptible to slugs, but we've had a few strawberries out of them. And we've got the Jerusalem artichokes and the horseradish, which have enjoyed the wet weather and are really getting cracking. Next to it here, the red currants. Just look at the size of these currants. I don't remember red currants being that big. If you get a dry run in to the picking time, they can tend to stay sort of small like this. But this year, they've really filled out because of the extra water. And here we've got a good example of the black currants, which again are looking nice and large. Another load here. There's so many berries on the clusters, which is boding well for blackcurrant jam this year. Swing down here and have a look at this loganberry, and it's just getting established, and we'll weed it shortly because clearly there's some weeds that would like to take over. We put a couple of strawberries in there just because we didn't know where to put them, and they're flowering. We might get a strawberry or 2 off of them. More weed. Got to resist. Weed properly when the time comes. These salad pots or lettuce pots that I put together for the chickens, really. Yeah, they've served us well, and we've been picking from them whenever we can to feed the chicks, and they certainly enjoy that extra bit of lettuce. Down here you can see the black currants that are just getting to the point where we need to harvest. Phenomenal number, and I'm so surprised because we pruned this so hard, and the result has been a lot of fruit, and I thought that that wouldn't be the case. And again, the size of the berries is crazy. Really, really nice. I spent some time a few weeks back taking all the stinging nettles and bindweed out of here, but there's still some bindweed creeping through. It's a real job to keep on top of it. And the beans? Yeah, I'm happy with the beans. The gigantes, I read that they can get very large, and they're certainly the first to the top of the canes. And I'm going to have to keep an eye on them, work out whether to top them out to keep control or just let them hang over. We'll see how they go. These are the Belotti climbing beans, and at the beginning I didn't think they looked any different to the Belotti dwarf, but it's quite clear now that the Belotti dwarf beans are in fact dwarf. Similar size in fact to these cannellinis, which have now got quite a lot of flowers on them, and I'm looking forward to those beans. I've got a bit more tying up to do. We've got one that's gone over there, and the only thing climbing is some bindweed, which I'll take out while I can see it. And we've got a couple falling over here, so got a little bit more tying up to do. I'm just going to have a look at the Gooseberries. So this is the second year that these Gooseberries have been in the ground. They were reasonable sized bushes when I put them in. The first year I think we got one berry on them. This year they're laden, and they're beginning to get really dark now, and I have tasted one and they really are quite sweet. So cross between a Cape gooseberry and a black currant and one other fruit from memory. Now they're a recent, in real terms, a recent hybrid, but they certainly look very successful here. So I've asked Mrs. K to start looking up jam recipes for Gooseberry. That would be really unusual. Gooseberry jam. Good times. The sunflowers for the Sunflower Challenge are really doing quite well. And I thought that there was only one variety here. I need to go back and have a look. But we've got a distinctly different formation on this plant, with lots of flowers growing out of the leaf nodes and a collection of flowers, including a really nice head at the top. Whereas these don't have those additional flowers and shoots coming out of them, but we do have the one big flower head developing, and that is the same as this one over here, but they're getting really nice and sturdy now. And that one of course is in the pot where I had the major disaster of trying to replant 1,000 head kale, and I abandoned that and sowed a few more seed, and those seed are really doing well now, and the chickens are going to love, certainly during the winter months when there's not a lot of green, when we can pick off a few leaves and throw them in for them. The Bramley apples just the other day, and to be honest I don't think they're looking that well. You can see on these first two trees we've got lots of bare branches, and I don't know, I'm toying with the idea of removing them. I think that they suffer badly from being in such a chicken manure rich environment. I can only think that that's the cause. We do have a bit of canker on them, but I've been cutting it out historically. The tree at the end I really need to shape much better because we've got that long branch. And this one is much bigger than all the others. And again, lots of bare branches at the top. If anyone's got any great advice as to what steps to take next, I'd really appreciate it. At the moment, I'm thinking get them all down to a level, say the height of the new foliage on this one, and just go another year. What's clear is there's almost no apples on these. I think I've spotted just 2 apples in the middle there. Everything else seems to be completely bare. So a bit of a struggle really. And the plum tree, it's a fabulous size now, and the leaves are looking really healthy. No flowers, and I can't quite remember whether I normally have flowers by now or not, but we'll hang in there and see how it goes. But it does look like a healthy tree for sure. Well, the mystery bush has got some fruit on it now. It's still green, and they're developing fast, and they look like they're going to be quite long, sort of Loganberry style fruit. So I'm interested to see those ripen. What's clear is that the bush is spreading out enormously, and I'm going to have to think carefully about how I use this bush. If the fruit's good, then I may start staking it and forming it and shaping it. We'll see how we go. But it's stretching right out there across to the black currants, and I don't want it to get too unruly. So we'll watch it carefully over the coming months. And the gooseberry that I revealed is getting covered back up. And this did have quite a lot of fruit in it. Let's get down there in the undergrowth. Yep, there's some nice fruit on there. And it's starting to look a little bit yellow, and I don't know whether that's natural for this gooseberry, but I don't want to get to the point where I lose the fruit. So again, I'm watching it carefully. And of course that's against the backdrop of the potato crop. And the potato crop has never had so much foliage on it. It's obviously enjoyed the damp over the last couple of weeks, and it really is very prolific indeed, and hopefully that will mean a huge amount of potatoes in those pots. I opened up the compost heaps so that they got some of the rain into the mix, and I recovered them over the last couple of days. But you can see they're a lot more damp than they were. That's a good thing. The red currants over here, again, if you look back on my videos, you'll see I pruned quite hard, and exactly the same as the black currants. The amount of berries on them is tremendous. And this is one that I didn't prune quite hard. A weed in there, which we'll remove. And that's got far fewer berries on it. Now, I don't know whether I'm missing something, but I thought when you pruned a bush like this, that the berry count in the coming season would be adversely affected. And it looks like I'm completely wrong. If you look over at that bush, fantastic display of red currants, and all of an incredibly good size. So there's going to be a lot of red currant jelly and a lot of work in the kitchen. So my picking pots have worked out quite well, except this one. This is the rocket, and it's gone to seed really rapidly, and I don't really think that it likes the pot environment. We've been picking it, and I've been picking the flower heads off to try and keep control, but I think it's won through now, and it's definitely going to seed big time. Whereas the coriander, picking it regularly has worked out really well, and it's stayed a nice sort of size, and we can keep using that on an ongoing basis for salads. And the parsley, with its rogue pumpkin in there, it's done well also. And the pumpkin's going to be interesting to see whether we actually manage to keep it going and get any fruit. There's some flowers in there, so it's looking hopeful. So pumpkins in a pot, that'll be a first for me. The foxglove have been a wonderful display, and they're nearly over now. We'll just keep them going while those flower heads are looking so nice. And behind it, the dahlia has started to bloom, and we've cut a few to take indoors in this windy weather rather than lose them. If I can move that bit of pear out, you can see the colour, which is a fabulous dark sort of burgundy colour, and there must be 20 heads on there. And then this one, which is later flowering, is just starting to form the buds. So a really good show from the dahlias. I do hope you enjoyed the video today. If you did, click the subscribe button, click the like button, and if you want updates from me each time I upload a video, click the bell and select all. I do hope you have a great day. Diolch yn fawr.